Hey gang, how you doing? I figured I've been busy on my end, but I figured I'd make some time to talk about a bit of pirate software stuff that's going on right now. For those of you that don't know, I don't believe you. I think pretty much everyone that follows the gaming sphere right now is familiar with a lot of the tomfoolery coming out of the pirate software side of things. He got a lot of attention at the beginning of the Stop Killing Games movement. And then there was the whole World of Warcraft mana incident. And more recently, he's been doubling down on some things with Stop Killing Games, along with like having people go over his code. And I figured I'd talk a little bit about that as someone that's worked in games for quite a while now. First of all, before I talk about pirate games itself, let's talk about some of the things that I suggest someone that wants to work in the games industry do. And that is, it's pretty important if you want to work in teams to show some humility, be able to take criticism and feedback. You are working in a creative medium, so you want to be positive about things in a way where other people are going to be able to stay creative. You don't want to attack people. You don't want to build some kind of environment where people are going to shut down because in games, especially with a lot of programmers, they don't handle conflict very well. So if you make an environment where something goes wrong and your response is to say something like, well, I think that's dumb, and if you disagree with me, you can eat my whole ass, that's going to, it's not good for creativity. It's not good for productivity. It is generally a bad leadership trait. So that is something that in general, you don't want someone with those kinds of toxic traits to move into a like leadership position. And I think those of you that do not work in games would kind of share some of the same sentiments, where you want someone that's going to be kind of relaxed, down to earth, and not attack people for making mistakes or having disagreements. Because people will make mistakes, and it is important for people to be able to learn from those mistakes. Pirate software, he has missed kind of like a growth arc where I think it was best kind of shown when he would talk to Dr. K, who goes, I believe it's Healthy Gamer GG on YouTube. And he had this very long conversation with him. I didn't even watch the whole video. It was like 3.5 hours, where he goes over some of the ways that pirate software communicates with people. And he's very dismissive and confrontational and very arrogant. And he sees that as a non-issue. Arrogance is not a virtue. I think in general, it is okay for people to get angry at things because that's a natural like thing for people to have. But if someone says something like, hey, I don't like X, Y, or Z, you can have a conversation about it. And in the case with pirate software, I noticed really around the start of the Stop Killing Games portion, where his response to a lot of the criticism and people saying, hey, you got this or that wrong, was to be like, basically saying, no, I didn't get it wrong. It's your fault. How dare you? I made a video like last year on Stop Killing Games. I got some things wrong on it. And some people in the comment section were like, hey, this isn't actually a law. This is the type of thing that this is. And I'm like watching videos on one monitor while like writing code on the other. So sometimes I'll miss things when people are doing videos. And I totally missed that from like Ross's whole bit. So like that was on me. I got it wrong. And it's just like, okay, we all make mistakes. It's fine. The whole goal in life is to make mistakes and learn from them. And pirate software, I would like him to get to a point where he does that. I know there are some people that are like, pirate software, awful person, like just kick him off the internet. I don't have that opinion. I don't like look at anyone really and say this person needs to be removed. I vehemently disagree with a lot of individuals on the internet, but I'm not I don't want to join into the whole cancel culture thing in reverse now that like the tides have shifted. Um, I just want the rules to be enforced evenly. And I don't think Pirate Software has done anything that's where it's like, oh, this is like super ban worthy that I know of in terms of the various mediums he's in. And there are a lot of people that are still very much on Pirate Software on his side, where they're like, oh no, everything he's doing is perfectly fine. Like these are just haters or whatever. And if Pirate Software is able to grow as an individual and learn some humility and learn to take feedback and criticism, that is not only good for him, but it's good for other people, because Pirate Software is coming at this from the perspective of like, oh, I'm going to build a community that's interested in making games. And you're going to have people in that community that are going to take his lead to say, oh, this is how I should act if I'm working in games. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Pirate Software, like, he worked at Blizzard for a while. So you've got some people that are like, wow, Blizzard. And they're going to be like, this is how I should behave. This is the kind of role model that I want. And we may disagree with that. Or some of you watching this may be like, oh, he's still a good role model. But I believe a lot of people do not agree with that assessment. And it would be best for like everyone if he were to grow as an individual so that he could be a better role model for his community. I would be remiss not to bring up some of the coding aspects as someone that is a programmer. I would bring up real fast. We're at like, what is it? Almost 1.4 million signatures on Stop Killing Games. That's pretty nifty, but, and also, and like, this is something that Pirate Software put out. I actually agree with this assessment where he's basically saying, oh, I didn't really kill the games movement. It feels like everything that I've seen from this makes it seem like it was just everyone, like it got its natural growth and then it kind of petered off. But here at the end, everyone was just so angry at Pirate Software for being Pirate Software, and the whole World of Warcraft incident where it just, people were more willing than ever to start consuming anti-Pirate Software videos, and a lot of those videos would then surface things to Stop Killing Games, because all of the stuff that's going on with like Pirate Software drama is in English, and in the EU there are no majority English speaking nations in the EU. Like Britain left, they noped out. So this was an opportunity for it to get that attention. A lot of people started talking about it, and that really pushed it over the threshold. And in some ways it may be because Pirate Software was just such a jerk about the whole thing that got so many more eyes on it than it would have otherwise. But we would see some people going over his code, and where we would see certain things like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I grow this? Oh, perfect. So this is some like, an individual named Coding Jesus went over some of his code. And like, this is like a little bit of it where if you're a programmer, you're looking at this and you're like, oh my God, don't do this. This looks terrible. And the initial thing that Pirate Software would say is like, oh, well, there are several concepts in programming that do not exist in this particular engine that he's working in, because he's working in an older version, because he started this game like 8 years ago. It's been in development for a very long time. And I get it. I've worked in some engines that didn't have a lot of concept in it before. The two big concepts that he's talking about are Booleans, which is something that says this is true or this is false, and another one is a big thing is enumerators or enums, depending on the language. So I figured let's just pop open. I just opened up a little tiny thing here where we've got like an example of some code that he's got. Now, I've worked in languages that did not have things like enums or a lot of quality of life. Actually, let me talk about this before, like in a full screen, before I'm just like a tiny square, like making motions. But I've worked in some languages, especially the old Flash coding language, ActionScript 2 and ActionScript 3, where a lot of coding concepts did not exist. And when you are a programmer, It is foundationally your job to create concepts in code. So, like, if I have just like, a blank slate and I'm like, I want a knight, then it's like, okay, cool, you want a knight. What does a knight actually mean? Is you looking at a 2D model, or a 3D model, or like a 2D sprite? Like, what is it going to do? How's it going to animate? And you have to think this out and then pick the right tools to build the concept of that thing that you want. In this case, like a knight. And in the case of a lot of older programming languages, you had to know certain design patterns and be able to implement them to get that functionality into like your game. Like if you are coding something in like ancient C++, a lot of quality of life things just did not exist. So you'd be like, okay, now I need to write my own like hash table. Where now you have in something like C sharp, something called a dictionary, where an Unreal and C that's using C++ has like a T map. These are things that are given to you out of the box. And in the case of Pirate Software, he's saying like, oh, I don't have things like an enumerator and an enum. All that is like it's like how it would look in my enum would look in like C sharp like this: value 1, value 2, value 3, and then you would use this like basically here, right? But this doesn't exist in his language, and people are pointing out, hey, this would be a lot better if you use this. And his response is, well, I don't get that for free, so we're not able to use that. I didn't get this for free in ActionScript either, but we still found a way. Like, if you have the ability to declare a variable, you have the ability to basically say, like, have a file where you just declare all of the things you need to declare. So you would call it like enum location pool equals 222. Enum location bedroom 223. And then for the final one, enum location like office 224. And then you would replace all of these numbers with something where it was very clear what you were looking for. And this is important for a number of reasons. Like, first off, it's a little more readable, and to Pirate Software's credit, he has always, from the bits that I've seen, been like, you don't need good code quality to make a good game, and that's true. I have seen some unimaginably bad-looking code where those games made millions of dollars a week. So, not only they made millions of dollars, but the players were happy. The most important thing: are your players happy? They don't care if your game is poorly coded. Like, your consumer is king. So, yeah, the code's bad. If it works as intended and like players are happy, then it's fine. With what Pirate Software has done here, where his code quality is very bad, it's going to make it so that making anything in here is going to be very difficult, even just for him. So let's look at this from a game developer perspective of someone that's like, I need to get this out the door because this game's been in development for 8 years. It should be done. The people that paid for this game deserve a completed game. The best way that Pirate Software could spend his time isn't building in this shitty game. It is to stream. He's going to get a lot of money streaming. And by streaming, he could, in a day, make enough money to be able to pay the daily wages of like an artist and a programmer. And if you have your code where it follows at least some best practices, then it is easier to bring someone in and be like, look, I will pay you to just finish my creative vision so that this can get done. And then the people that bought the game will get a completed product, which is, what they've paid for like, a long time ago. And like, everyone wins. Pirate Software gets to do his streaming, he gets to get his game done, and then 2 other people will be able to get paid to make a game. And I know some people might think, oh, well, but then it's not him making the game or whatever. And look, it doesn't matter. Like, people bought a product, they deserve a finished product. I'm not gonna be like, no, Pirate Software has to go in and write all this stuff. Actually, because it's written so poorly, that is effectively de facto what has happened here. When you follow good practices of coding and you try your best to make your code readable and you try and make it so that it's not just like this abomination everywhere. It makes it so that you can build off of it easier. And in this case, you could have someone else build off of it if it were cleaner. Now, it still could be done. You could, like Pirate Software, I would say he should find a legit programmer and say, look, I'm willing to pay you like this much money if you'll just clean it up. And I know, I'm pretty sure he'd look at it and like his pride would take over. He'd be like, absolutely not. This is mine. And this is just another terrible person that doesn't know what they're talking about. And that's unfortunate. He can sit there and say everyone that gives him any kind of criticism or feedback is terrible people or grifters or whatever buzzword he wants to use. I don't actually wish any ill will on Pirate Software. I don't wish any ill will on his community. I want them all to grow. And the best way for them to grow is to point at things and say, I can improve on this and improve on them, instead of doing this thing where the moment there's any kind of feedback, it's just like, well, I don't get that for free, so I wouldn't do that. And that is not, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm not going to be like, get a task and then be like, well, I don't get this for free, but then like Unity or Unreal, so it can't be done. It's like, no, it's like, it is your job as a game developer to create concepts out of thin air. And there are things that he could do in his code base like right now to make things easier for himself, but he chooses not to, and he doubles down being like, well, I have this excuse. And that's what it is. It's an excuse. And it is something that I don't recommend anyone to live by excuses. If someone's like, why did you do this? Then you should be able to give like, a rationed answer. And when someone's like, you could do this other thing, you don't double down on it. You should always be trying to grow, especially if you're making games, because when especially programming, because you're constantly adding tools into your toolbox. And then when somebody gives you some kind of issue, you can look into your toolbox and be like, what can I use from that, from my experience and from my knowledge to build this thing in the most optimal fashion so that your game doesn't take 8 years to still not be done. But the last thing I wanted to show you guys, because I found this when I was going over some Pirate Software stuff. I don't have this translated, but I just randomly saw it. It was like, Willkommen Zurich Zoo Programming War Crimes. So good. But yeah, this is always try and improve yourself. Oh, one last thing before I go. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Pirate Software is this terrible person for World of Warcraft, but I would like to point out to everyone that has paid attention to that is that those same people that were like bitching and moaning about Pirate Software early on were the first ones to roach out and get Tyler 1 killed. So I have zero pity for any of them. Maybe the healer. The healer seemed good in the whole mana situation. I don't know if they did that, but like, yeah, it's their fault for playing WoW Classic Hardcore. That's your first mistake. But that's it for now. I'm gonna try and not like put in any editing into this if I can get away with it, and just get it up so that I can start doing some like faster iterations on videos, because I was like super busy for the past couple of weeks, and I was just like, I think I recorded like 2 videos, and then I was like, I'm gonna have to edit this, and I was just like, I'm too tired. And now it's like way too late. So faster iterations, less editing, and we're gonna do it live. So that's all. Thank you for your time. I'll have some more stuff that I gotta record tomorrow. So farewell.